Is it working? Alright, I think it is working now. Good evening or good morning for everyone on the other side of the ocean. Yes. Just I always have issues if I have a scheduled stream because it works a bit differently. Let me know if the volume is good. But other than that, I think we can get started already. Спасибо. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about the render engine that is also visible on the thumbnail. And yes, so this is actually a different version, not the main one that you would download from the download page, but you need to scroll down for that. Thank you for the feedback. So here you have in the older version section, there will be this render alpha, which will contain this filament render engine. And it, as you can see, it's only available for Windows right now. And yeah, it has some issues. And I think that's why it is not in the main release. But still you can download it, test it out, and yeah, if you find any issues, you can create a bug report on the Cascadeur Discord server, and when this will be implemented in the main release, then hopefully there will be less errors and issues. So, but still, let's take a look because yeah, it almost looks like a game engine now. So we have HDRIs and different materials. You could already do textures, but now there are much more options that we will take a look. But the easiest one is the environment. So to set an environment texture, you can set it in the scene settings, and you need to copy paste the full path of a HDR file. So if I would want to change it, I have prepared some files and copy the path of a file, and this one would be different, and paste it. But yeah, if I do it like this, it will be black because it doesn't support the quotation marks. So those should be deleted. I think I deleted the prefix, so it's still, oh, okay. See what's wrong. So it's quite a bit finicky at the moment. I messed it up again. But it should be implemented that a dialog will open when you click on it. So you should be able to select a file later. I think something is still wrong. No, okay, it's good. So you can load any kind of HDRI textures. And you also have lights. So currently there is one light. That's why the shadows are this kind of strong. But if you only want the HDRI, you can set the light intensity to 0 and everything will be lit only by the HDRI. So I will switch back to the other one, which was this 4K. By the way, this is over 100 megabyte file, and there's pretty much no performance loss, so the performance is still quite good, even with textures enabled. But this is a static scene. I haven't tested this version much, but performance seems to be good. So we are currently in view mode, and that's where the textures and the environment is enabled by default. If I would switch to point controller, then it looks quite similar to how it was before. But if you want to enable it, you can right click it. You see this new column with the environment and shadows and also ambient occlusion and bloom, but we don't have that in this scene. And to enable the textures, you need to check the materials in the visible column. So how to set textures in mesh mode, and yeah, you can see this flashing. It sometimes happens for me, sometimes not. So this is quite a bit annoying, but anyway. Yeah, so if you select a mesh, there will be this material option. If you don't see this option because you probably have an older scene file, you just need to go to File and click the Fix Scene button, but here it already has it. Here you have here you can set a base color and other parameters for the textures, and if you want, you can load in different texture maps. So we have the base color. I also have a normal map for the shield. Let's just take a look. So you can see this indentations and this kind of things are in the normal map. So if I remove it, then it is quite flat. So let's just get back to it, paste it back. So I also have here a base map and an emission map, but you can also add roughness, metallic, and so on. So it's quite simple. It's still, I think you can still only use one material for one mesh. I tried to import a mesh from Blender that has different material slots, but it was not possible. I wasn't able to give more materials to one object, only one object. So yeah, one issue that I think it's not only for me is selections is working quite badly. So for example, I can easily select box controllers if there is nothing in the background, but if I want to select something that is in front of a mesh, then it is not registered, not always registered, or it's not registered at all. There were some times that I wanted to box select and other boxes were also selected, so it's quite strange how it behaves. Why is the leg selected at the moment? And yeah, so also some other things that are not working are X-ray mode. So when you are viewing the rig elements, for example, the rigid bodies that are under the mesh are not visible, even though X-ray is turned on. And other thing is the silhouette mode is not working. So this will be probably fixed before it will be implemented in the main version. But yeah, you can still use it. And as I said, if you find any issues, report it on the Discord. And probably the developers would need quite a lot of information to figure out what the issue is. So I think, yeah, I would recommend to input every detail of your hardware that you are using, like your operation system, your resolution, and your hardware. What kind of video card do you have? Yeah. So that's all about this filament render, and because the selection is not that convenient here, I will jump back to the other version, the main release. So I can close this one, and I have it open here. Oh, I already have something opened here. But before we go into ragdolls, I want to talk about quadrupeds. So let's open the saber-tooth rig. So before this, animals didn't have this autoposing mode, and it is now available, but only for pro users, unfortunately. But to be honest, it works quite well, but still it's not that much better and as a point controller mode, and still has some weird behavior, like if I want to move the head, it can behave weirdly. And one thing I don't quite like, but I understand why it's made like this, if I want to pose the tail as an IK, then it will just doesn't behave, and I can even stretch it out a lot. So if you take a look at another rig, the Dracorex rig, here the tail was moving correctly with IK, and you get this spline IK also that is also set up for this rig. It just doesn't behave by default like that, and that is because for these points now they are set to FK by default. Now if I set it to IK, then the spline IK is correct and I can pose it like this. The problem with having it in IK, I think, is now if I want to move it, move the autoposing controller, then the tail is... Actually, it's not that bad. Oh, no, sorry. They were in FK. So it will behave unpredictably if the controllers are in IK. So I think that's why they are in FK in default, but I'm not sure. Right, so let's get to see how to rig a quadruped. By default, the information that we have is that horses or other these kind of animals are not supported that well. So mainly dogs, cats, wolves, and such animals would work best because of the proportions of these animals. But yeah, I didn't find any rig, any horse or any dog or cat rig that has correct bones for the quadruped quick rigging. So now if we open the quick rigging tool, we have quadrupeds, and I already filled it out because it's quite tedious to find which bone is the correct one. Yeah, so here this one is also available for indie users as well as free users. So the cool thing is that even though you won't have access to the autoposing, it will be much easier to set up rigs for quadrupeds. And yeah, I see the comment that you would want more animal kind of rigging and tutorials for animals. My previous horse rigging tutorial is now outdated, and you can just use the quick rigging tool. It sets up even better rig. The difficult thing for me here was to understand what these Latin names for the different body parts mean. Let me drink. Because yeah, I don't know quadrupeds anatomy as well. So basically we have the scapula, and the humerus is kind of like the upper arm, and I would think by default that this one was the upper arm, which is the radius. And then we also have the carpals and the paws. And based on the saber-tooth rig, I think I cannot switch, okay. If I open the rigging mode and the quick rigging tool, I think the paw and slots are not required, the last ones. But everything else is required for the autoposing to work correctly. So if your rig doesn't have maybe this bone or don't have two bones in the leg, I don't know the Latin names, so the carpals and the radius, I quite often saw that, then it's still, the quick rigging tool still, the autoposing would still not work. You also need four or all the 5 points in the tail. I'm not sure about that. So we can add the rig elements. And this will set up a default weight around 100 kilos. And it will be distributed just as with the humanoid, like a realistic distribution of the weight. But yeah, if you want to change it, you can select all the rigid bodies, and the rig additional, there is a change rigid bodies mass, and for a horse I would want like 500 kilos maybe. And now this mass is increased. So previously it was something like, let's get back, previously it was 12, yeah, so it's quite good to change. It's recommended to change to have a more realistic body weight. I also have a free add-on that it can be added here, which also distributes weights along rigid bodies, but it will use the volume of the rigid body and not the current mass of the rigid body. So if you set up the rigid body sizes to fit the mesh, then it will distribute the mass, the total mass evenly. Yeah, that can be useful if you want. I have a video about it. I will link it in the description after the stream. But other than that, I think that's all about the rigging with the new quadruped rig. Yeah, so for horses it is not the best. It will put your character in a weird pose, but yeah, you can still use it. So let's deactivate this. So you have ground contact, but yeah, the behavior is weird. Maybe I didn't set up correctly these joints. I'm not sure why this part is like sticking out. So we have the tail. Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is this will set up automatically a spline IK for the tail and for the neck, and I believe for the spine too, but I'm not sure and I don't see it here. But previously when I tested it, let's see, yeah, so this one also has a spline IK for the spine. I think it should be like this. But yeah, so just upgrading for this for Pro, I wouldn't recommend it. I think it will be improved a lot in the upcoming versions. If anyone remembers when Cascadeur first implemented autoposing, when it went to beta, even the humanoid autoposing was quite difficult to use. And I think in my first year of using Cascadeur, I wasn't really using autoposing at all. Just point controller mode and box controller mode. But yeah. So I think that's all that I wanted to talk about quadrupeds. So let's look at the new in-betweening, the improved in-betweening. Let me open an empty scene with Cascadeur and just set up a really basic animation. So going from this position to something in front. And now we have a new interpolation type for in-betweening. And first it will calculate slowly, but then updating is quite fast, as I've seen. So now we have a walk, and we can really easily change the timing. Okay, I couldn't, yeah, I wanted to shift the whole interval. So now if I change the timing to a shorter interval, then Cascadeur will try to run. And yeah, you can use the plus button to increase the timeline. It's a bit laggy with that, but if you move the keyframe, it's much faster. You can also right click in the interpolation and set up the different modes, but you need to select the interval. So for example, run, and then it will show that this is a run. So now it is running, kind of. There's not that big difference, but it's still, I think it was improved compared to the previous version. So fall doesn't make sense here, and jump either. But yeah, jump is looking weird. Here you also have new settings for the in-betweening. You can disable updating it, and I think it will, yeah, it's much faster. If you disable updating, you can increase the timeline much faster, the timing, and then enable it later, and it will be recalculated. And if you want to use it as it was before, so maybe just not as an interpolation, you can, under the timeline, you can find in-betweening start, and you can choose the different styles. So if I click it, yeah, it's too big. That's strange, because with interpolation it allowed it. Anyway, 89. Okay, I think this was the previous limit. Let's see. Yeah, it works. It seems like that's the first version of in-betweening. Anyway, the best thing about this is now you can set interpolations for different interpolations for different body parts. So for example, if I want the head to, I want to animate the head manually, like I will add a keyframe here where Cascadeur looks to the left, then I can do that. Also, as you can see, when you are on a keyframe, you see the point controllers as by default, so the green and blue color. And when you are in interpolation, then they will be grayed out. And the cool thing is that if I have a keyframe only for the head, only the head points will have this color. So yeah, now I can add another one and look to the left. And yeah, you can change the animation. So you can do this for the fingers, because the fingers are in this open hand pose by default, for the arms. And I think this is the reason why the torso and the pelvis was separated. So this is another change. Previously you had a body track, now you have torso, pelvis and head separated. Right, what else with this? Other cool thing about this is auto physics works as well. So here for a walk it doesn't make that much difference. It's a bit slower, and I see a lot of messages in the event logs. But yeah, we have correct auto physics. So if I wanted to add a jump in the middle, let's just move everything up. Then this will generate a walk, then a jump, and auto physics will work with that. So yeah, it's still walking in the air, so it's weird, but you get the point. And yeah, you can iterate much faster. So this is, I wasn't that excited about this feature, but as trying it out, this was such a cool addition. So another example I prepared is I added a weapon to Cascadeur. So basically here I have the right arm and a weapon connected to the right arm, constrained to it, and the left arm is constrained to the weapon. But you can constrain it to the right arm, either way. I can move Cascadeur forward. Let me actually let me add a new keyframe just for Cascadeur and move it like, I don't know, here, and set the interpolation to this new Inbetweening. And yeah, it doesn't behave as expected, but as you can see, it starts holding the gun and it will end holding the gun. So with this new addition, we can turn the interpolation for the arm to Bezier, and then it will try to stay together with the arm. Yeah, it's still not the best, because first of all, the right arm should be in FK interpolation, because as you can see, it moves away from the weapon. So now if I set FK, it will stay connected, and the left arm can stay in IK. But as you can see, if we are, it stretches the arm quite a lot, because the torso is moving away. So because now we have separate tracks for the torso and the pelvis, I can just switch this one to Bezier as well. And yeah, you can add additional keyframes, so the torso rotates quicker. Let's do it here maybe. And let's take a look like this. Okay, that's a weird issue. I have never seen this issue. Okay, but yeah, you get the point. You can set up different poses. So let's do it like this. Unknown link type. Okay, that's strange, but maybe I can set a keyframe for all the tracks, and now rotate it. I don't get it. Okay, we can ask the developers what this means. Alright, let's move on. The last major update is the angle constraint, and that's why I had this scene open. So this angle constraint only affects Ragdoll, and I already have Ragdoll enabled in this scene. So now currently Kasky's limbs are moving really freely and even in an unnatural way, like the right arm is completely broken. And the angle constraints can be seen when you're in point controller mode. There is this new option in the object properties, this new behavior. And here you can see the minimum angle and maximum angle on each local axis. It's quite hard to know what value should you add. So for this, there is now a new visualizer, which is, I believe, angle constraint. And you can enable it here in the settings. And now for the selected points, you will see these visualizers, basically. So if I don't want the shoulder to go that far up, then I can play with the max angle of the y-axis. So I don't think the upper arm should ever go over the shoulders. Yeah. And this one is the right arm. So now I can, if I want to prevent this tilting back, now I can do it with the x-axis. Let's see the other one. It's just something like this. I can keep it at minus 120 forward. And now it will recalculate, and yeah, at this pose the arm is less broken. And you can do it to every point. So if you select every point controller, then you can see what values are set. So maybe you don't want the legs to rotate too much, that much to the side. Like I think at the end of the animation, now it's correct. But it was like quite rotated to the outside. You might want the knee, you might want to limit the rotation of the knee as well, and so on. Alright. So yeah, I think that's all the major features. Yeah, with the quadrupeds, I've seen that there was a video, the feature highlight, if you have seen it on Cascadeur's channel, that this might enable us to use retargeting for quadrupeds as well. I wasn't able to replicate it. I don't have any animations except an older horse run animation. So I didn't create any animation with animals with the quadruped rig besides this, but with this one, when I tried to retarget it to the saber-tooth tiger, it was not working. So I have like 10 frames there. So let me, the interval is selected, and I can retarget copy, and it will throw me an error. I'm not sure if this is the same with this model. I haven't tried it, so let's see it live. Okay, that's just this incredible animation. Okay, select it, and yeah, it doesn't work. So I'm not sure if it should work, or maybe it's for the future. In the future version it might work, I'm not sure, but yeah, retargeting for animation for animals would be really incredible. like if you have different versions in your game, like a male, adult male, and a child fox, and a smaller fox, I don't know, you can just create one animation and retarget it. That would be awesome. Okay, so yeah, other things that worth mentioning in the quick rigging tool. Let me go to Cascadeur. Now there are support for untwist, which I'm not quite sure what that means. So under the twist, there is support for untwist as well. Supposedly the character creator and Des 3D models should work better now with this option. And other thing that I like is with GLB files, you get now a dialog, which was not an option before, as similar to the FBX. Because lately I've been using GLB files when I'm moving models from Blender to Cascadeur. I found it that I have better transforms, like clearer transforms without changing anything in my Blender scene. Just let me show an example. So I've tried Rigify rigs. I don't have a scene for it. I don't even have the file here. I think I have it here. Rigify cat GLB. It's not possible to drag and drop it, but you can import it. And yeah, let me just select. This is just the armature, nothing else, but it will open the rigging tool automatically. And for some reason, I guess because Rigify is supported with the humanoid, it will fill out the bones for the human and not for the quadruped. But I have prepared a quick rigging tool file, so I can just drag and drop it. The problem with this rig is that the joints under the spine are at the same location, so it won't work in this case. It will have problems generating the rig, and it didn't add the rigid bodies. But yeah, the developers already know about this issue. But the main thing I wanted to show this is if I look at the transform of the armature, I have really clear transform with one scale, and this GLB file was just simply exported from Blender without any change. So yeah, I prefer GLB now. But moving back the animation, still FBX works better. So there are also updates to scene linking. I haven't tried that one out at all. Let's see if we can look at it live. Just generate the rig, and now if I link scene, then yeah, the update should be, I think, I'm not sure what, okay, there is this loop option, and so the animation will loop, I guess. Yeah, and you can set the interval from 0 to, I don't know, 30 frames. And now the first 30 frames will loop with the linked scene. And yeah, there are other options as well. Other improvements are for the performance for longer animation, which was quite needed change. I've seen a lot of complaints in the Discord. I don't work with long animations at all, but if you are working with mocap, then it should be better right now. There are improvements for the camera objects. So if I add a camera, now the parameters should be linked. Let me open it. Some of the parameters, I haven't tested this one out either. And importing it from FBX should work better as well. I will need to try out, because I've tried importing cameras from Blender before, and the aspect ratio was incorrect. And you can also copy paste now these settings from one frame to another, if I'm correct. We have a keyframe here. Let's change it to 10. And we have 90 here. So if I copy it and paste it, now it is correct. Right. And there is the last thing that I want to mention is this option for the stretching of animation that you can enable to save data on keyframes. This supposedly keeps handles better the keyframes. If you don't have that many keyframes, then the data won't change that much. I haven't seen any issues with this, so I'm not sure what this changes, but I guess there are some niche use cases where this makes sense. Right. And that's all I wanted to talk about. If there aren't any questions, I want to mention also that there is a Black Friday deal going on at the moment, which is usually the best deal of the year, but I guess you might see another Christmas deal this year. And so I think it's today and maybe even tomorrow, and after that it won't be available. And if you use my affiliate link that is also in the description, then I get something back, so I appreciate it. You can also update, if you have an indie license and want to update for Pro, you can update it for it at a 30% discount. And the full list of updates, I will link it in the description. I don't have it there yet. But there are a lot of fixes as well. You can check out. There are even updates for the Python API, which is cool. Other than that, thank you for joining for this stream, and I hope you guys will have fun with Cascadeur. Especially, I think, for me, the biggest one is the Inbetweening and maybe the animals. But for my use cases, Inbetweening will be probably more useful. But see you soon, and thank you for joining. Goodbye.